I can erase this now. Yes, no?
Yes.
Okay. Now, okay. Let's see where to go next. If we, okay, let's talk about plotting the data. Oh, I gave you 2 weeks for this homework, okay? It's due in 2 weeks. All right. That doesn't mean that you blow it off until 2 weeks from yesterday. Please. I mean, you can if you want, but it's not in your best interest to do so.
How
do you
are
want me
we
to keep?
going to turn that in? Do we have a plan for that?
If I can figure out the Canvas thing, we'll do that. Otherwise, you can direct message me in Discord. That's always worked very well, actually.
Isn't it so fun having to learn how to use Canvas and Blackboard as a teacher?
Yeah. Canvas. Yeah, I don't get along with either one, to be honest with you. Canvas is probably a little simpler if I can figure it out. Blackboard just stinks for every single use that it was supposed to help with.
Yeah, just so far, I currently like Canvas a lot more than Blackboard.
Then maybe you can give me a crash course. Okay, can I get rid of important dates? Talk to me.
It should be in the screenshot, I think.
Everybody should have them written down. Does homework written down. Going once. Yep. Can I collaborate?
Yep.
Okay. And again, the answers to I don't think the answers to all of them are in the back of the book, but they certainly are for most of them. Okay. Let's talk. I don't remember what your book goes into next, but we're going to talk about both topics. Let's talk about graphing data. And this is one of many areas that people use to try and convey information. And unfortunately, a lot of people use it to try and prove a point. In other words, they are trying to argue something, to make a case for something. So they totally screw up the actual data. In other words, I don't want to say lie, but they make the data pictorially or graphically, they make the data try and tell a story that they're in favor of. Okay. Meanwhile, their arch enemy uses the same data, but pictures it in a different graph to tell their side of the story. So you got same data shown two different ways, telling two completely different conclusions. Does that make sense? I mean, go on. Absolutely. Absolutely. Right? Absolutely. You know, if you're on a pizza joint, right? You could survey a bunch of people in the afternoon. You could survey a bunch of people in the evening. Which data are you going to publish? You're going to publish the data that says that they like your pizza, not that they don't like your pizza. So you're going to pick and choose. Is it accurate data? Kind of. Are you misleading? Absolutely, of course. Are you going to get away with it? Probably. It's just the way the world we live in. Okay. The first way let's start with graphing all the values in the data set. Okay. So frequencies go on the y-axis. Okay. The actual data values, these are the x's, are on the x-axis. And I think this marker's about had it. Is it fading in the, I assume it's getting hard to read.
Yeah, it's dying off.
Okay. Is that better?
Yeah, much better.
Okay. My wife got me these. Brian, you probably had computer architecture when I got a shipment of these things. She got me this thing of markers. Look at all these colors.
That's fun. I like that.
I am totally in heaven. And you guys owe my wife big time. That's all I can tell you. I guess I do too. Okay.
Was it secretly so she could do more colorful drawings?
You know, I never asked her that. Maybe she certainly takes advantage of it. But I certainly hope that your guys' spirits get uplifted a little bit when you see her artwork. I hope. So, what was the range of the data that we had for the number of 1,000 of miles on cars on your car? What was the range? What was the lowest value? Somebody said something like 3 or
3,000.
3. Okay. Yeah. So if we put them in order, 3 was at the low end, right? Lowest?
Yes.
And then it went all the way up to, what was the highest? We had a 230 something, but then we have a 340 something?
D.
350. Okay. Okay, so guys, that'll be, here's 3. Okay. So actually, if this is 350, so divided up into 7 increments, that's about half. So this would be like 150, 100, and this would be about 50, right? This would be 200, 250, 300. That's approximately evenly spaced out, right?
That looks pretty good.
Not too bad. So 3 is like over here, right? Right?
Yeah.
So this would be 1, 2, 3, 4. Do we have any values between 3 and 350? We know that we have a little bar at 3, right? We know that because the value's 1. We know we have a little bar at 350, and I'm pretty sure we only have one value of 350 and one value of 3, correct?
Yes.
Do we have any values that show up twice?
I'm not seeing any.
So everything shows up once, doesn't it?
I believe so.
Does everybody agree with that? So we got 27 different values. Each of those values is unique. It doesn't appear twice, right? So we're going to have a bunch of squares all over, right? Spread out between 3 and 350. Does everybody agree with that?
I got 107 twice in the data.
Oh, 107?
Yeah.
Is there two 107s?
Yes.
Oh,
Okay.
my bad.
Wow, that's the high point. There we go. We got two at 107. Everything else appears once. Well, obvious. I hope it's obvious. 107 is the mode, right? It's the local maximum. Yeah. Do you see that this is a lousy way to graph this kind of data? Can we draw any conclusions out of it other than it just so happens that two cars have 107,000 miles on them? Other than that, we really can't draw any conclusions, do you see, other than 3 is the low, 350 is the high. We can't. We can't. So what we do when we have a case like this, we divide the data into groups, and those groups are called classes. Which are groups. Okay? So, when we do this, x sub I values between the upper and the lower and the upper bounds fall into those classes. They fall into a particular class. Okay? So then, what's the obvious question? Well, there's two obvious questions. Well, I hope they're obvious. What's the first obvious question? How many, right? Are we just going to have one class that starts at 3 and ends at 350? We could. It's not going to tell us anything other than it's got 27 members, right? It's not going to tell us anything about the data that we're really after, right? So we could divide it up into 27 classes, right? One data point per class. Well, that's kind of boring as well, right? The rule of thumb is that the number of classes is approximately equal to square root of n. N, of course, is the number of values. Do you see that? So if we have 9 values, then we divide them up into three classes. If we have 16, we divide them up into 4. If we have between 9 and, like 10, 11, 12, something like that, we would either approximate, we round up, or round down. Choice is ours. For us, the square root of 27 is approximately equal to 5 and change. 5.2 probably, something like that. 5.1. You want to call that 5 or 6, guys? Your call.
I like 5.
5?
Yeah.
5 classes. Okay? So, we figured out how many classes. What's the next question we have to ask ourselves?
How do you pick which class they go into?
I'm going to
Like, what
rephrase
separates
what
the
you
classes?
There you go. Where does one class end and the next one begin? Right? Isn't that the obvious question? I mean, we could say, well, we're going to have a class between 0 and 10, and then another class between 11 and 20. You know, so what, 0 to 10, 11 to 20, that's 2 classes. 21 to 30, that'd be the third. 31 to 40, that'd be the fourth. And the fifth one would be anything over 40. Well, that'd be valid. It would be. Probably not really useful. We could do it equally, right? Yeah, we can actually do that for the first go round. So, for example, evenly divided or evenly spaced classes. Okay, what's the range? 350 minus 3, right? Can we just call the 3 0 and say that the range is 350,000?
Yes. And
Because
then,
whether we subtract that 3 off really doesn't matter very much. Besides, who said that they had a car that had 3,000 miles on it? I don't remember who. Somebody did.
Oh, I said I have a car with 300,000 miles on it, over 300.
No, 3,000. Somebody said
3,000.
they.
Oh, I misheard.
Yeah, 3,000. I don't know who said it, but there's a really, really good chance that that car still has the brand new car scent in it, right? So we'll just call it 0, right? So the range is 350,000. How many classes do we have? 5. So if each class covers the same distance on the x-axis, how about 70?
70,000.
So 70,000 per class. You want to see what the data looks like then? Ready to roll?
Let's do it.
Okay, can I get rid of the top stuff that you probably can't read anyway? Okay, so on the x-axis, instead of thousands of miles, well, we can still put thousands of miles, but we're going to have 0 to 70, right? And then 71. So here, we'll do this. So we got 0 to 70, right? Then 71 to 140, 141 to 210, 210 to 280, and then above, right? It really only goes out to 350, but it's anything above 281, right? So this is class, we can call this class A, B, C, D, A, B, C, D, and E, okay? How many values fall between 0 and 70 inclusive? How many between 0 and 70? Anyone? 11? That means I have to change my, let me regroup here. Sorry. Man, we got a lot of new cars, don't we? Newer. Okay. So this is 12, 10, 8, 6, 4, 2, 0. So 70, 140, 210, 280, and higher. Okay? So, 11, right? This is Class A. That's how big the rectangle is. How many between 71 and 140?
I counted 11 for that as well.
So it looks like the upper classes aren't going to have a huge amount of members. How many between 140 and 210?
3.
Is there one between 210 and 280? There should
Just
be.
one.
One? And then there's one above 280, which is the 350. Is that correct?
Yep.
In the 15 years I've been teaching this course, usually twice a year, I've never seen a graph that looked like this. They're usually something like this. Something like that. You know, where maybe these two are flipped, maybe this one's a little higher, but it's always been newer cars are you know, one of these two classes is, excuse me guys, hang on.
Are those universal,
Or what?
those studs?
No. You gotta go to the hardware store. They're probably 12 millimeter. Sorry, the hay line took a dump, so we're trying to get it fixed. My wife is not exactly mechanically inclined, and I'll leave it at that. All right. What's this graph telling us, gentlemen?
Lots of new cars.
Okay. Totally buy it, right? I will totally buy it. Now, has anyone, you guys gave me, we got 22 values, which is, well, all but 5. So like 80% have less than 100 or 140,000 or less. Let's put it that way. So here, let's write this stuff down. By the way, what's a warranty?
Guarantee.
It's a guarantee. I don't know if a guarantee and a warranty are the same thing. Probably not. But if a car's under warranty, or anything's under warranty, right? If anything's under warranty, then whoever you bought it from and or the manufacturer guarantees the work, guarantees the product will be free of defects, free of workmanship flaws, all that kind of nonsense, for a certain amount of time. And if it fails, then the part will either be replaced at no charge, or possibly replaced. The cost of parts is no charge, but you have to pay for labor sometimes. or at a reduced price or something like that, okay? Batteries are frequently sold on a prorated basis. Has anyone bought a car battery before?
I have.
You have?
Yeah.
Is that Brian?
Yes.
Okay. Did you buy a 5-year battery? Do you remember?
It was a while ago. I don't know.
Okay.
Sure. For the story, sure.
Brian, okay, yeah, Brian buys a 5-year battery. What does that mean? That means that within 5 years, if that battery fails, okay? Oh, I can tell you a battery story if you want to hear it. If that battery fails, then Brian can take the battery in, and they will, with batteries, okay? The way it usually works, at least from what I understand, is he bought a 5-year battery. So if it fails after, say, 3 years, okay, well, he only got 60% of the life of the battery out of it, didn't he? Right? So they will exchange that battery. They will replace the battery, but Brian still has to pay 60% the price of a new battery. He doesn't have to pay the full price, but he has to pay 60% because the original one failed after living for 60% of its life. Does that make sense? It's called a prorated warranty.
You have to pay for what you used on the new one.
You got it. Yep. Does that make sense, guys? That's how prorated warranties work, and batteries are typical examples of that. Okay.
Don't they usually take the core of your old battery back too?
Yes, they do. You have to give your old core back. What a lot of people don't know is a lot of times, Brian, who's online? We have everybody, don't we? I gotta sit down. My knee's killing me. Let's say Liam buys. Liam's rich, okay? Liam, are you rich? I
Not
don't know.
particularly.
I beg your pardon?
I said not particularly, not after having to pay for the semester of classes.
Okay, well, before you had to pay, you were rich. And let's say Liam had to replace his battery, and it wasn't under warranty or anything like that. So Liam goes into Advanced Auto or something like that, hopefully not Twilight Zone, and goes in there. That's what we call AutoZone. We call it Twilight Zone. So he goes into Advanced, hey, I need a new battery. And the dude says, you want a 4-year battery, a 5-year battery, a 6-year battery. And Liam, since he's rich, well, for one thing, guess which one's the most expensive? It's going to be the 6-year, right? Right? Because it's better. It's warranted for 6 years. So Liam says, you know what? I don't want to screw around with this. I'll pay the extra money, get the extra guarantee. Probably won't use it because it's a better battery and blah, 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 right? So Liam walks out of the store with a 6-year battery. Okay? So Brian, we said you bought a 5-year battery, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So Brian's next, and lo and behold, his car takes the exact same battery as Liam's. Okay? Well, he buys a 5-year battery. Okay? Walks out the store, okay, whistling a happy tune. I am set for 5 years. Well, hopefully, right? And then Charles walks in. I got to pick on you, Charles. Charles walks into the store. I need a battery for my car. Totally died. Here's the cord charge. Here's the old one. Totally died. Give me a new battery. Well, you want the 4-year, the 5-year, or the 6-year? Charles, we're going to make you poor today, okay? Is that all right? Charles is so poor he can't afford a mic that works. Anyway, just joking, Charles. Just joking. Just joking. Charles says, you know what? I just paid tuition, and my prof is grossly overpaid. That's why my tuition is so high. By the way, that's not true. Tuition really, really killed me this year, and I just got engaged. So my significant other has a vacuum hose attached to my wallet, so I don't have any money. So I got to get the 4-year. Okay, because it's the cheapest, right? So Charles walks out with a 4-year warranty battery. There's an incredibly good chance that all 3 of those batteries, the 4-year, the 5-year, and the 6-year, they're the same exact product. There's a really good chance. It might have different lettering, might have different stickers, that kind of thing. It's the same thing underneath. You're just buying warranties. That's all you're doing. That extra money is going for the warranty. A lot of people don't know that. Okay? So that's your consumer advice for the day. All right. Do you guys want to hear the battery story?
I have a battery story too.
Go. I want to hear yours.
Mine's not very interesting, but when I bought that battery a long time ago, it was in a pickup truck. This old pickup truck. And
is it a Ford?
It was actually a Dodge.
Okay.
And funny story about it too. It was passed around the family, and the bumper was hanging off at one point.
It's an heirloom.
Yeah, exactly. So the bumper was hanging off at one point in time, and my uncle tried to fix it by smacking it with a sledgehammer.
Okay.
Did not work.
No?
No, it knocked it off.
Oh, so it kind of fixed it.
Okay. It wasn't hanging anymore.
There you go, see?
Anyways, we bought a battery for it. And when we took it back, the core back in,
yeah,
the reason we were replacing it was the battery was leaking acid, and it melted through the floor. And they wanted the core back, so we didn't just pollute it. And it was just this whole mess of, how are we supposed to bring this in? We can't carry it. It's got acid everywhere.
If we put it in our car that does work, it's going to eat through the floorboards.
Exactly.
So what'd you do?
I think
put a bunch of plastic down or something like that and put it on that.
I think they I think they gave us extra plastic bags, and I was like, that's not gonna work.
It probably would.
Assuming it was everywhere.
Yeah, I believe you. I do.
I don't remember. It was a long time ago.
Yeah, I know. We have my first tractor. This is going back 20 years. But I still remember it. It was wintertime. And I had my first tractor. It was a tricycle. Had 2 big wheels in the back, and it had 2 in the front, but they were kind of close together. If you've gone driving in the country, or Uncle Larry has a farm out in the middle of nowhere somewhere, and he's got a few tractors. There's a chance one of them's an old tricycle. This one was manufactured in 1949, so it's older than me. Got it running pretty good, actually. And as part of that getting it to run deal, I had to replace the battery cables. Okay. And I changed some things around, so it was wired as the electrical system was similar to what you have in a car. It didn't have a computer or anything like that by any means, but it had an alternator to charge the battery, and had a starter, had it was something you'd see in a car, basically. So when I ran the battery cables, So here's, trying to draw this right for you. So here's the front tires, here's the rear tires, right? So here's the the frame of the tractor. Here's the frame. The engine is the frame, really, and it's got like that, something like that, kind of. This is a horrible drawing, guys. I apologize.
10-minute warning, by the way.
5 minute or
10 minute.
Okay. Steering wheel, right? And you here's the seat, right? Right, with a little spring underneath it. So you sit here, and your pedals are here. Steering wheel. So this tricycle tractor has a steering arm that runs like this. Okay. And as it's got, trying to remember, yeah, there's an arm here and an arm here. So this arm goes this way as you turn the steering wheel. There's pivot points right there. So as you turn the steering wheel, this arm goes like that, and it moves an arm here, which turns the wheels right or left. And that's how you steer the thing, just like you would a car. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So this tractor, this will be on the final, by the way. Just kidding. Although there are some valuable engineering lessons here. Don't use, let's see what shows up. Having used black. Black should show up. So the battery's right here. Here. Okay. That's the battery. Okay. Those are the terminals, right? So, again, I replaced the battery cables and the battery, of course. I made a lot of electrical changes the first that's just pouring out from underneath, the whole area is engulfed in smoke. And it didn't happen over like 30 seconds. It happened like 3 seconds, right? And I'm thinking, oh my God, must have, poked a hole in the gas tank or something weird like that. And, it's going to blow any time because that's gasoline. Well, the tractor's still running. And I shut it off real quick and got off the tractor, and I'm going, I don't smell any gasoline. Don't smell anything at all. And finally the smoke clears, right? And I found out what happened. Remember I told you this steering arm pivots, right?
Mm-hmm.
Pivots about this point. Well, I made a sharp turn, and that meant that the steering arm, instead of pointing straight up and down to go straight, that pivot arm went like this. It pinched the positive battery cable between the steering arm and the frame of the tractor.
You know what's funny is when you were drawing it, I was going to ask if the steering column goes straight through the battery, because that's what it looks like.
It doesn't. I have a lot of this jacked up, but
it did for a moment.
It did. It didn't go through the battery. It went through the battery cable.
Right.
Okay,
right.
So it nicked the insulation. It sliced the insulation off this is the positive cable. So the negative cable is already connected to the chassis, the frame of the tractor, right? Well, when the steering arm pinched the positive cable, the positive was connected to the chassis as well. It's the equivalent of completely and totally shorting out the battery. That's what happened. The current was so strong that it welded, no joke, it welded the positive cable to the frame of the tractor. Okay? I had to kind of use a chisel and chisel the positive cable off the frame so it wasn't shorted out anymore. The battery, I am not making this up. So the battery in 3D is supposed to look like this, right? Right, guys? Right?
We can just see the back of your arm right now. Okay.
That's the battery, right? Got terminals here, right? Right?
Yeah.
Terminals, right? Well, in this battery, since it drew so much current, all of a sudden it overheated the battery, and this top cover, instead of being attached to the battery and all nice and neat, this top cover was completely blown off, okay? And it ended up kind of like this. Kind of like that. It was nowhere near what it was supposed to look like, okay? I had just bought the battery like a month before, right? So I took the battery, it took all of 30 seconds to get the battery out of the tractor once it had stopped smoking, of course. Took the battery, put it in the car. Oh dear, I got to go to Walmart. Kind of had a little oops with the tractor. And I got to get a new battery. And she said, well, how much is that going to be? Well, I paid like $80 for the last one. This is like 20 years ago. And so it'll be another $80. And she's, oh, crap, here goes more money. Well, you don't know how wives are, but that's how they are. Anyway, so I took it to Walmart, right? Put it on the counter. And again, this top cover is clearly messed up, right? It's totally obvious that the battery was subjected to something that it wasn't designed for. I said, I need a new one. And the guy said, oh, well, I have to check it first. I'm like, take a look at it. It doesn't work. It clearly doesn't work. Well, I got to check it anyway. It's our policy to check the battery. Okay, it's going to come back that it's totally gone. Okay, just give me a new one and let me know how much it is. So he takes it back and he goes, "Yeah, it's bad, all right." Oh, really? You don't say. And he gave me a new identical one. Okay, have they gone up in price since I bought this one? What's the damage? He goes, "Oh, it's free." There's no way it can be free. No way. Yeah, it's under warranty. I'm like, dude, take a look at the old one and you tell me that looks like, a warranty kind of thing. No, it's totally under warranty. I'm like, really? I'm trying to give you money. No, it's under warranty. Okay. So that's my battery story. All right, we're 2 minutes overdue. Sorry for that, but I hope you found that somewhat interesting and entertaining. I guess the bottom line is make sure you check the way your cables are run when you're rewiring your 1949 vintage tractor. Any questions?
I have a question about the tractor.
Go.
So on those old, you call them tricycle tractors, in the front, They have the two wheels and they're cambered, like very much. I don't know if it's positive or negative.
You got it.
Why is that done?
The camber?
Yeah. Why is it so drastic? And why don't they spread out the tires?
Weren't they straight? Weren't they straight?
I suppose.
So the front wheels are like this, right?
Yes. In a V shape.
If you're looking at it head on, right? I think, and don't, Brian. I'm still learning. We're still learning. Most of the farmers around us have forgotten more than we'll ever hope to know. So we make mistakes every single day. So do not quote anything. Don't quote me on anything as being the way you're supposed to do it. I think if they had them side by side, do you see that the area that they meet the ground is a lot wider than if they camber them like this? I think that's the reason. To make this area where they meet the ground is as small as possible.
Why do you want that?
For one thing, steering would it be really hard? Yeah, steering would be really hard, I think, because you'd have to rotate this whole assembly, and that's how the tricycles move. But if these two wheels are close together, that rotation is a lot easier to do than if they were, far apart like this. I think that's why. That'd be something to Google, though.
Okay.
But I think that's why it's easier to steer, and you do want this area to be as narrow as possible, because one reason why, and I found this out just by studying online stuff. So like, here's a row of corn, pretend. Here's a row of corn, pretend. And
like
here's a row. Yeah, looking bird's eye view.
Okay.
Okay. And here's a row of corn. The tricycle tractors are spaced such that a rear wheel can go here, a rear wheel will go here, and the center will go here. So you won't be running over the rows of corn. If this were a wide area where you have this, do you see that you're a little bit closer?
Yeah.
To the actual, I think that's another reason. It's something for me to look up, though. There's a lot of money in farming, guys, an awful lot of money. Unfortunately, the money is all yours, and it's usually leaving your wallet, not coming in. That's the word of advice for the day. All right. Any questions? We'll pick it up here on Tuesday. We're going to do different classes. And we're going to keep warranties in mind when we define those classes. Try and do kind of a real life kind of thing. And we'll also pick up standard deviations and variance on Tuesday next week. Any questions? You'll submit it via Canvas if I can figure out how to do that. Oh, what is it? What is it, guys? There in the class chat. There's
It's in the screenshot in the
It's
chat.
in the screenshot. Yeah.
Professor, I have to go so I can go get my oil changed.
Go.
Thank you.
Thanks,
For class
Liam.
today.
Have a good weekend.
You too. Thanks. Bye.
Yep. Esteban, in the upper right-hand corner in the screenshot, you can see the homework. It's 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. Was it 13 and 19, B and C?
Yep, you got it.
All in chapter 1. It
Do you want
should
to-
be, for the most part, a gimme, guys. It should be pretty easy. All right. Okay.
Thank you.
Catch you guys on. You're welcome. Catch you guys on Tuesday. Take care. Bye.